Hey, good morning to you, friend. Welcome back to the Morning Minute Meditation. Thank you for joining me for a few moments this morning. The Apostle Paul, in his writings, wrote a bit about the subject of contentment. In the book of Philippians, he spoke of it. Then again to Timothy, in 1 Timothy, he spoke of contentment. And finally, I believe the Apostle Paul was the writer of Hebrews. You can disagree with me if you like, but he wrote a good verse about contentment. Now, in consideration of Paul's life being a Pharisee of the Pharisees, coming up in the way that he did come up, it indicates that he had some element of financial success in his life, or at least his parents did. And so the Apostle Paul evidently knew the affluent life. Now, in writing about contentment, the Apostle Paul makes this statement in the book of Hebrews 13:5. He said, "Let your conversation be without covetousness and be content with such things as you have." Now, how can I do that? Because he said, for he had said, "I will never leave thee nor forsake thee." In other words, if you have the Lord, that's all you need. George W. Truett, the great pastor of yesteryear in Texas, was using the illustration about going to a wealthy man's Texas ranch. He said after a very lovely dinner, he said the man walked him out on the veranda and said to Truett, "Now look northward." He said, "You see all of those oil wells, they all belong to me as far as the eye can see. 25 years ago, I owned nothing." He said, "Look to the south." He said, "We looked to the south and there were fields of grain ready for harvest." He said, "You see all of that? 25 years ago, I owned nothing. Now I own all of that." Looking to the east were cattle grazing in the pasture. He said, "You see those cattle? They all belong to me as far as the eye can see. 25 years ago, I had nothing." And then looking westward, he began to look at the buildings and all of the other things that lined the landscape. He said, "You see those forests and buildings? They all belong to me, and 25 years ago, I had nothing." Truett raising his hand and placing it upon the man's shoulder, the man expecting to be congratulated, Truett pointed heavenward and said, "And how much do you have up there?" To which the man hung his head in disgrace and said, "I never thought of that. I never thought of that." Sad is the man who has a lot to live on and nothing to live for. Think on these things today, and may contentment rule your life. God bless, friend.